Okay, so we're going to go through ways to grade and provide feedback using your CodeHS Pro accounts. We'll look at some of those pro tools. My name is Lindsay. I'm a PD specialist here at CodeHS. And with me today is MR, who's also a PD specialist. She's going to be answering some of the questions in the Q&A and giving you some links in the chat. So if you have not yet attended a webinar, you can find the Q&A in your Zoom tools, and that would be the way that you'd ask questions in the session today. You will see some links that are sent in the chat, but you won't be able to chat as an attendee. So if you have any questions, you can put those in the Q&A, and Emma will be happy to answer those for you. And if you do not yet have a teacher account, you can sign up at codehs.com/sign-up. That being said, this is a webinar on the Pro Tools. So if you do not have an account, you would by default have a free account. So you can follow along in the slides today, but you wouldn't be able to access a lot of these Pro Tools until you had a Pro account. And just to go over our agenda quickly, we're going to look at just an overall sense of how to grade in a CS classroom. Then we're going to look at how to review student progress and grade on CodeHS Pro. We'll look at different feedback tools and resources, and then we'll leave a couple minutes at the end if there are any follow-up questions. If you want to follow along on the slides today, you can do that at codehs.com/grading-and-feedback-slides, which MR will put in the chat. And then if you want to look at it on your phone instead, you can just take a quick picture of that QR code, and that will take you to the slides on your phone. All right. So just quickly, what is CodeHS? It is a platform that is available for teaching elementary, middle, and high school computer science. We do offer online and offline professional development, and we do have a full software platform that has tools and resources for you to use as the teacher. It is a comprehensive platform, so it does have everything included right on the site. That means you have instant feedback and submission. So we do have auto graders on most exercises, and we'll go over auto grade versus teacher grade later on in the session. Students can submit directly on the site. They're coding directly on the site. There's lots of grading and tracking tools that are available to you as the teacher, and it's all on the website. So you don't need to download any additional software or any plugins. All of the work on the student side and on the teacher side will be through the website. Okay, so we're going to look at grading in a computer science class. So we're looking at mastery-based grading for the most part in a lot of the auto-graded exercises. Mastery-based grading being making sure that a student has mastered the content before moving on. So that is what a lot of the auto-grade assignments will do. This is checking completion up to a certain point to see if they passed the problems that they've done. We can do that through having a more complex project that uses a lot of different ideas from throughout the course. And the auto grader will show students test cases. So this lets them make sure that they've mastered something before they can submit it. In fact, they won't be able to submit an assignment until it passes those test cases if it's auto graded. And they'll see that instant feedback that's built in. This is an example of somebody who's written code that passes some of the like style points, but doesn't pass the functionality or this one style point. So on your course, you will have a lot of progress tracking options. So we'll look at that on an actual course. So this is a demo course that has fake students in it. So you'll see some of the data doesn't match up from one progress tracker to another, but that's just because they're fake students and they're getting random data points so we can see what the pages look like. For your students, it will line up from page to page. But I can see here just on this front page, so when I go right into my course section on my roster page, I already have a quick overview of how far each student is in the course. So I can see for the entire course, this student is 8% done, 38, 84. Ideally in your class, they're a lot closer to the same number at any given time, but this gives you a quick overview of students that are maybe falling a little bit behind or ones that are way past where they need to be. So those are students who maybe would give some extension exercises too. I can also look at this in a more like magnified sense. So I can go to the progress trackers, and I do that by at the top section picking progress, and then I have a bunch of different options. So if I pick section progress, I'll see the same thing that I saw there, just without the top bar. But I can also look at student progress in a particular, in each module. So this will show me an overview of how much of each module has students got through. This might be helpful if I have like a challenge module and I can see if students are attempting that challenge module or not. But this will show me for the whole course how far they are in any given module. I can go even deeper and look at by lesson. So this will let me pick a specific module. In this case, I'm looking at the Programming with Carol module, and it will show me which of these lessons students have completed. So a couple of things to look at on this page. The first one is I can pick what module I'm looking at by up here changing what module I'm on. So that is underneath of the like toolbar. I see module, and I can pick a different module here if I want to. So I can change to JavaScript and graphics, and it will show me where they've gotten on each of those lessons. Another thing to see here is this key. So I can see a bunch of different colors that are lined up with colors that are down here. Anytime I see any of these colored dots on any given page on the site, I will see a key somewhere as well. So if you do forget what the colors mean, you can come up to the key and see what they mean. But just to go over each of them, the dark green or the teal is what we're aiming for. That's finalized. It means the student submitted it and they have a grade for it. I'm going to jump these two for a second. This light green means that the student submitted it, but it's not graded. So those would be assignments that you have set to be teacher graded that you haven't put a grade in for yet. The yellow means the student opened it, but they have not yet submitted it, and the gray means they haven't opened it at all. Going back to the pinker ones, the light pink means that the student submitted it and you marked it as something that needs work. So they submitted it and you send it back to them saying they need to do more work on it. And then the maroon means that they submitted it back to you after that. So they submitted it, you said it needed more work, they fixed it, and they submitted it again. So you'll see those colors and that color scheme throughout the site. But this is one place that you'll see it in this progress tracker. So this is the lesson progress. I can also go deeper again into individual assignments. So this will show me in a particular module, all of the lessons for that module, and then all of the activities in that module. So this just looks a little bit deeper than the last one, again, using the same color keys. And again, I can pick a different module and look per module at which assignments in each lesson students have finished. So you'll see, I still see every lesson here, but I can also see the actual activities in the lesson. So those were all found in this progress dropdown. I have a couple more that are in here. One of them is time tracking. So this can be helpful to see students who maybe are finishing things super quickly. We want to see, like, are they copying and pasting code in here, or are they just passing through it and not completing it? But I can see it's the same color scheme, but it'll tell me how long a student spent on that particular activity. This means that the page was open, not necessarily that they're actively typing, but this will give you an idea of how long it's taking students to complete work. I can also use this to see if everybody in my class is spending 20 minutes on the tennis ball square, then maybe that's something I should go over in class. And then the last thing on here is quiz scores. For quiz scores, I won't see anything because I have demo students, so they don't actually have quiz grades, but you would see every quiz in the course, and you can see it as percentages, as a heat map, or as the raw score out of the total points. So again, these are the statuses. We're looking for the dark green. That means they submitted it. The grade was finalized. Light green, they submitted it, but it does not have a grade. Yellow, started, not completed. Gray, not started. And then the pink ones have to do with the reviewing. So light pink, you give it back to them. Dark pink, they resubmitted. Okay, so how do we communicate with students and give them feedback through the course? So we do have a couple of ways to talk to students through the platform. Now, typically, you're probably talking to students in class, but if you have students who have homework or students that are not at school for a significant amount of time, you could communicate with them through this platform. So one way to do that from the roster page, if you just want to send a general message to a student, You can do that by clicking on the conversation bubble over here. So I go to whatever student I want to talk to. I can click the little chat bubble and it will open up all the conversations I've had with this student. So I can see I told the student at some point not to forget to submit their work. I can type a message in here and it will go to the student. I can also send an announcement that would go to all students. So if I click announcement, I can type an announcement and I can pin it at the top of my assignment page. When I send a message to a student, they'll get it up in this little box up here. So you would want to tell them ahead of time that that's how they're going to get messages from you. There'll be a little blue dot up here if I have a message that I haven't opened yet. So that's how to send a general message to a student. I can also send a message to a student directly in an assignment. And typically this will show up as a student asking you a question and then you responding to it. So if I go to this student's page, and I go to an assignment of hers. This is her code editor, but she can ask questions directly through here. So if a student goes over to this More tab and clicks Conversation, they can ask questions here. They can see if I sent a message to them, they can see it right there. But they can send a message here and then you as the teacher can respond right in this window. So this is super helpful if I'm looking at their code and I want to like talk to something that's in this particular exercise. It doesn't require as much explanation on the student side. If they were to just send you an email and say, I need help on this assignment, you can see the code at the same time. So they can tell you on line 9 and you can see what's on line 9 on their side. We also are now able to edit student code. So I can see right now I'm in this student's assignment. This is this particular student's version of this code. If I wanted to either help the student with a syntax error that they had, or I wanted to kind of give them a little bit of an explanation of what they should do, I can do that here. So I can say, add a for loop here. And I now can save it and push it to the student. So if I click save, I'll get this little pop-up or this little message up here that says the code has diverged from student work. Do you want to go back to what they had or push your changes? I'm going to pick push. Are you sure you want to push it? It'll overwrite any changes by the student. I click push. And now the student on their side will see anything I added. So I now can add comments to the student code directly, which is even more helpful maybe than writing in the conversation area if I want to look at one particular line of code. Instead of saying you're missing a curly bracket on line 12, I can actually go to line 12 on their code and type it in right there. So if I want to look at all of my students' questions at the same time, I can do that. Let's go back. So I have two different ways to get to all of the questions from students in this course. I can either go to code review over here, or I can pick review up at the top. So I'm going to go to review at the top. And I'll see here are all of the student help questions that I have for this course. And I can go into each of them. It will take me right to that assignment and I can answer their question there. So if I go to this first one, it'll take me right to that student's assignment. If it was a real student, they'd have code written there. I can go to the conversation and I'll see that that student asked for help. And if I put you need to add a function, I can send that, the student will see that. I can also type code in here. So there's a couple of different changes I can make to the formatting, and I can see the preview of what it looks like down here. So that would be the way to give help to one particular student. I can also see from the help page, I can go to help mode, and then I go from question to question without having to come back to this page. If there's a question here that I've answered in class, and I don't need to answer it anymore here, I can exit it out and then it will just remove it from my queue. So again, that help mode is how I'm going to go from one to the next without coming back to that review page. So we're going to look at how to set up auto grader, or how to set up teacher graded assignments. Sorry, by default, we are set up to auto grade anything that has an auto grader, but there are some times where you might want to look at a student code yourself. Typically, the auto grader isn't looking at commenting. So if you want to set a standard for, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. If I want to set a standard for making sure students are commenting a lot, or if I want to look at the style of their program, that's stuff that maybe the auto grader isn't going to catch. So some of these assignments I might want to switch to be teacher graded. To do that, I'm going to go over to course settings, and then I'm going to go to grading settings. And here I'll see all of my modules for the whole course, and then how they're being graded. So we'll see if I pick auto graded, it's going to check that they've passed all the test cases, and it'll give them grades based on that. If I change it to teacher graded, it will sit in a queue until I grade it, so it won't give them a grade. You'll see here by default, it is set to auto. I have changed a couple of them to be other things. So I can change an entire module to be teacher graded. So I could say anything in this JavaScript and graphics module, I want it to be teacher graded. That will add a lot to your queue. So maybe you don't want to add everything to be teacher graded. I can look at it from a lesson and then an assignment basis. So I can say maybe in this program with Carol, I want to grade everything in the Carol Can't Turn Right module. Maybe that's all, or that lesson, that's all going to be teacher graded. I can go deeper, and you'll see if I go into like this more basic Carol, I have this one set to be auto graded and these set to be teacher. So I can set a whole module to be teacher or auto graded. I can set a whole lesson to be teacher or auto graded, or I can set a specific exercise to be teacher or auto graded. We'll see a lot of them don't have the option. If it's a video, I won't have the option because there's no grade. A quiz is automatically going to be graded, and then the examples don't have a grade associated with them. So it's just going to be those exercises. And again, to get there, I go over to course settings, and it's in grading settings. Now, once they are set to be teacher graded, now you do have to go in and grade them. So the way to get to the ones that you need to grade, you can do it a couple of different ways. I can either go to my assignments and go directly to grade them from there. I think I made these auto grade or not auto graded, so I can grade all of the assignments using this blue check mark. So if this one, if I had anything to grade here, I could check that, and it will show me all the ones that I need to grade for that particular assignment. So if I want to grade one particular assignment, I can do it that way. I also can use that review page that we already looked at to grade. I'll see all of my submissions for any assignment is listed down here. So I have 55 that need to be graded. It tells me which problems are currently being set to teacher grade. I can change the auto grading settings right from here if I don't want to go back up to that tab. And then from here, I can grade. I can either give students full credit if it's one I'm just giving. If you submitted it, then I'm giving you credit. I can pick give full credit right here, or I can click on it and it will take me to that student's assignment. So again, if this was a real student, I would see code over here. I can over here see the solution code. And if I go to this grade tab, I can grade right here. So I'll see right now it's not graded at all. I can choose to award full credit. I can choose to give a 0. I can give feedback here. I can submit it back or send it back to the student. That's that light pink color that tells them they need to resubmit. When I give feedback here, if I often give the same feedback, like you need to add comments, I can add that as a canned response. So I'll see I do already have one in here, but I can add another one and say, you need to add comments. And I'm going to add that as an option. Now, if I click on that, I'll see it gets added to the student feedback. I can give this student, we'll say a 5 out of 6. And now they have that grade. I can go down and see in the grading history, I gave them a 5 out of 6. I can see when I graded it, and I can see the feedback I left for them. So then when I come back to the grading page, I'll see I still have a lot more to grade. So I could keep doing that. I could click on grade mode and I'll see that same page, and then when I click continue, I'll go to the next student. But I do have a faster way to do this using this fast grade option. So again, this is a pro tool, but this is a much faster way to grade these. So I get the same exact functionality here. It's just laid out differently, and it's much faster to move from student to student. So again, if these were real students, I'd see the student's code over here. I see the solution code on this side, and then I have all the grading options over here. So I can give them a grade here. I again have those canned responses. I see the ones I already had. And if I click this little green button, it'll add it to the feedback. I can add more custom response or canned responses here if I wanted to. And then I can award full credit, give 0, finalize, or set it as needs work. So if I want to give full credit, I'll see it gave them full credit and moved right on to the next student. And now it tells me I have 1 done, 53 remaining. If I wanted to run the student's code, I don't have that window over here, but I do have that as an option over here with this play button. So you'll see on the fast grade page, I do have a bunch of options over here. I can run the student code. And again, there's no code in this demo student, but I would run it and it would either finish it or not. It will tell me what error they would have gotten if they ran it. I can also run the solution code if I want to see what the solution run should look like. I already see the solution code over here. I can also see if I have a rubric associated with it, I can see that there. I can see the actual assignment description here. And then if you're more of a keyboard shortcut kind of person and not a clicking kind of person, you can see if I want to award full credit and finalize, I can choose Shift F, and then I don't have to click at all while I do this. This will show you every assignment that is submitted and needs grading. So if you wanted to filter by a certain assignment, like I only want to look at the short stack assignments, I can filter by assignment name. If I start to type the name of the assignment, I can pick the right one. And then if I apply that, I'll see I only have 3 remaining. So it has filtered out all of the other assignments that, that were not the short stack assignment. Okay, so that's all the fast grade. And then lastly, we're going to quickly just look at the gradebook and see what some of your options are there. If I go up here to the top to the gradebook tab, I'll see my gradebook for this class. And I will by default, I have it set up different. By default, I will see all of the assignments for the entire course, which is maybe more than I want to see it, you know, when I'm just looking at the gradebook. So I can pick a specific module. So maybe I'm looking at the Programming with Carol module. And this will show me all of the assignments in that module. I then can say, okay, I'm really only looking at 1.2 and 1.3 right now. So I can pick certain lessons to look at. And then I can change what I'm actually seeing as far as what types of exercises I'm seeing. So that just changes what I'm looking at. It doesn't change how the grades are actually calculated. But if I click configure, I can change the way that I'm choosing to grade these assignments. So I in here I'm going to give a grade for quizzes and for exercises and badges and for responses. Maybe I don't want to give a badge grade because they get that by finishing the exercise. So they're already getting that exercise grade. So I can take out that badge one, click save, and I'll see that the badges went away. So now those aren't in the gradebook anymore. I can also, this is what's included in the actual calculation, the checks that are up here. I can change what I'm displaying. So maybe I only want to see, I just want to look through and see what students' grades are on the exercises. I can choose just exercises to show, and it won't change their actual grade, but it will change what I'm viewing in the gradebook to just show me the exercises. I do also have an option in here to flag any late assignments. I can decide whether or not a student can see their grade report. So maybe if you have another gradebook for your school and there are some other assignments that go into that gradebook that aren't on CodeHS, maybe I don't want students to be able to see their grade report because it might be different than their actual grade. So you can choose to click that or not. For late assignments, I can choose to give students a 0 until they complete it. So if it passes the due date for the assignment, it would automatically give them a 0. Sometimes that's the push a student needs to get their late work in. So I can choose to do that. I can also choose to penalize late submissions. So if your school has a 10% off for late submission policy, you could do that here. Or you could choose not to penalize at all. You can change the percentage here as well. The only other thing in here is this grade calculation. So it does let you choose whether you're showing the points that the grade is out of total graded points, or how much they submitted and been graded, or total possible points. I would suggest graded, because at the beginning of the year, they're all going to have Fs if you do out of total possible points, because there's a lot of points available in the class. And then the last thing in here is the quiz settings. So if I go to course settings over here, I'll see one of my options is quiz settings. We do have some options for if you're giving retakes on quizzes. There are some changes you might want to make here. So when students take a quiz by default, they see whether or not they got the question right, or whether they got it right or wrong, and then what the correct answer is. But if you're giving retakes, you might not want students to see the correct answer. So you can uncheck that button. You could uncheck both of them, whether the student sees what the correct answer should have been or not. And I can do that based on what type of quiz it is. So check for understanding, if your course has a final, and then regular quizzes and unit quizzes. I also here can set the number of retakes. If I always want to give a retake on every quiz, I can do that here. And then if I click that, now every quiz is going to have a retake available for it. Okay, that is all we have on the grading and providing feedback. We do have some more webinars coming up. We have one on the 29th on tools to track student progress using Pro. We also have blended learning. That is next week, and then integrating coding across subjects is also next week. You can find those at codehs.com/webinars. You can register for them there. And then the last thing we have is just a bunch more links for you. If there's more information that you're looking for, you can go to codehs.com/learn-more and reach out to somebody on our team who will respond to you with any questions you have. You can also become a CodeHS certified educator. You can earn micro-credentials. We also have a lot of other CodeHS and teacher-led workshops over the school year, and then again next summer. So you can find those at the free PD link. We do have a CodeHS teacher Slack channel and a CodeHS Facebook educators group. So ways to reach out to other teachers who are teaching with the same platform that you are, if you have questions for people who are using it in the classroom. And then you can follow us on social media at CodeHS on Twitter or on Instagram. And that is all we have for you. If you have any questions, you can throw those in the Q&A and we'd be happy to answer them. If not, then thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you at the next webinar.